Good afternoon to all. My name is Laze Tripkov. I am Associate Professor of Graphic Design from Skopje, Macedonia. I teach at the International Balkan University, Faculty of Art and Design. At the beginning, I would like to thank my friend Lefteris Heratakis for inviting me to the third edition of the Virtual Education Design Forum. It's a huge privilege and a chance to have the opportunity to discuss about my latest research and my project. And with great pleasure, I would like to introduce my good friend, curator Ana Frangovska from the National Gallery of Macedonia, who will be here with us today discussing about the topic related with the research and the influence of the digital technologies over the past few years, especially over the corona pandemics happening with us. Thank you, Anna, for being here. She helped me a lot in this process of work. We have started a discussion almost 1 year ago, or more than a year. I was telling her about my ideas related with this project. So what we see here today in front of us, actually in front of you, is the exhibition under the title Reflections of the New Reality that I have conducted with the support of National Gallery and the curator Anna, and also with the support of the Ministry of Culture, because this is a relevant project since they are presenting certain reflections created of the time of the pandemics, and they represent my personal reaction to the pandemics and the quarantine that we all have been passing through. So it is almost a year and a half since we are living in this time of the new reality, practically still learning to get to the normal time, or understanding what is that normal time, or trying to apostrophize the reality in a new context, and asking or trying to oppose certain questions regarding the influence of our life and culture. The moment of culture is something that is very important, and it is making a crucial role in our lives, because during the pandemics we all have been declined practically, or stayed aside of our normal way of learning about things or consuming things in our surroundings or community, and especially in the art community and in the art and culture community. So the digital has become a part of our life in a serious way. It has managed to shape us. It has managed to create a strong connection, more like something that causes addiction to the way that we use or reuse our digital devices, the way how we have trusted the technology, or the way how we let the technology shape us in a way or gain our trust and solitude. So today I'm going to apostrophize a few things regarding the project and regarding the exhibition, and so far how things are going and developing since this forum is going to happen in November. So a certain summarization of the project has been defined, more or less regarding the partial groups or categories of people that are involved. But I would like to give the floor first to Anna, that I'm very thankful that she accepted this invitation from me, and I'm glad that my host, Lefteris, my colleague, has accepted this approach, so we can address some issues which are much more relevant to the idea of his work, to the idea of this forum. So
Thank you, Laze, for your invitation. First, to be a curator of your project, and secondly, for telling some of my opinions or points of view regarding your topics of research. And that's the influence or the meaning or the more, let's say, more active presence of the digital forms or new medias in the working of the galleries and museums, which should be questioned, which should be discussed, which of course should find their proper way of usage. They are more than definitely useful. They are more than needed. It's just Corona that made us be more, let's say, keen to using digital media as our extended legs and thoughts. As I wrote in the text for your project, it makes us think, it makes us laugh, it makes us hate, it defines our criteria in a way. It's very hard recently to make a final separation, what is a good, what is a fake news. So it's really a kind of, let's say, addiction that I think that we shall start, as we are going back to some kind of new reality, to make some kind of pause or to make some kind of restriction to that often usage of digital media in order to find the proper a percentage of its normal or useful use in our everyday life, and especially in the working of galleries, museums, the usage in culture, the usage in contemporary art in general. New media forms and digital medias are very often used in contemporary art in the last 30, 40 years. It's not something new. Maybe it's good that here in Macedonia we are still fighting financial urges with good financial constructions of the projects and budgets regarding culture and regarding working of museums and galleries. So that's why we don't have so much technology as it's often used in the other capitals or contemporary countries. But as often as I go and visit museums and galleries, I see even usage of new media into very traditional exhibitions and traditional forms of presenting some kind of culture, tradition, folklore, whatever it is. I think that's the proper form of using that new media as a helping tool into, of course, if it's not the basic media of the expression of the artist. But it was good form during the quarantine because we were
It was the only form.
The only form. Despite of the fact that, as I said in the past, we have recently not very often used digital or new media into our ways of presentation, marketing, promotion, and so on and so on. During the quarantine, we were supposed to find some ways of functioning. So the only platform left for any sort of being active or any sort of being visible or making relation with the audience was through digital medias, using social medias primarily. But you know, when you don't have that kind of knowledge, you don't know what and how to address primarily. So you start experimenting. Then you try to see the reaction of the audience. When you are in such a phase of being enclosed at home in space without being able to go outside, not even thinking about visiting museums or galleries, everything that is being served is interesting, you know, that is not the problem that we were facing every day, the number of deaths, the number of disease. So it was really a period in which everybody was like, breathing with every new project or activity that we would do on that digital forms and platforms. But and then we were starting thinking of new projects, video works, trying to reach artists from all over the world, local artists, share their experiences during this period, making documentaries, making marketing propagandas related with, I don't know, promotion of some famous works from the collection and putting them into masks, something that was actually very used as a tool, as an element during that period. It was really, on one side, as a National Gallery, we were very, congratulated for the activities that we did, because we were all the time trying to do something and we were active, we were there. We were present, we were visible. But when you are an open critic, as I am, even to my work,
to yourself personally,
of course, I say, is always the number of the visitors relative to what you are supposed to do, What is the criteria that you should keep on apply? Yeah. So it's always a question what to reach, what is the point, Either just views or educational level or some high quality level. So there are a lot of criteria that you need to search for, to follow. It's not just, just simple share some information. Then we started working very often with this 3D mapping of exhibitions, putting the exhibitions in a space, mapping them and presenting them on 3D platform and 3D reality. So instead of visiting galleries and museums, you could virtually visit some exhibition, which was helpful in that period, but I don't think that it has that smell and sense of visiting a real exhibition or a museum. Because if it is a work about a classical work exhibition, about paintings or graphic prints or sculptures, until you smell the color, until you see from the close, I don't know, the combined or mixed media of some work of art, to see the plasticity, the structure, the surface of the sculpture, I don't think that you can really feel. It was a helpful tool, and it shall be used, I think, for new media ideas and development of projects as yours, because it's really into that surface of finding new dimensions. And it gives that opportunity of experimenting. But if we are talking about classical work of art, it's a matter of easiness to approach. I mean, it would really be easy to go in, I don't know, MoMA from here and enter inside and see some proper exhibition.
Through your computer, right?
Through your computer in a virtual reality, but it's not the same as if you get impressed from the dimension of the work, from the effect it will get you, from the topic it has, from, I don't know, the power it gives, it's always different when you see it in real. So it's really something that it's very useful, but it shall be used in a proper amount in order not to let the museums and works of art lose their real purpose and meaning, of course. I mean, new media art, new technologies are completely different side, different thinking. So there you can experiment a lot with any kind of the technology inventions that we can get and earn. But even that, it's something that if you don't see it in real, it's different approach.
Of course.
So it's a really interesting topic that needs to be addressed and needs to be questioned, and so it's a good initiative to talk about it. I'm sure that the classical museums, galleries do question this kind of usage of digital medias and technologies and virtual realities, and if they're going to switch our role and our position in the society in general, but I don't think that it is something that we shall be frightened of, because the real art and real culture will always survive, you know, aside of our everyday usage of phones and being addicted to it. We always want to enter the space and see something, some new experiences.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's true. I completely agree with you. I mean, this what you have mentioned from that perspective and till today, it's like it's moving. We all understand. We want to accept the facts, but also in the same time, we notice that young generation of kids that are slowly entering teenage, they're completely reprogrammed. And their attitude is completely reprogrammed. So addressing the issues or statements, no matter or educational or more social, are still dependent of that technology or what technology has turned them or offered to them those opportunities. So I start with my kids, for example. My daughter is 16 years old, so when she started high school, she started practically online. So it's now slowly they're going back to the real life, if it can be called. So look, I'm wearing 2 masks in my hand. I didn't notice that I carry them in my hands when we started shooting this video. So this is not just the addiction, but we are taught that this protects you, and vaccination plus. And I'm vaccinated, but still people that are vaccinated, still they don't go or allow themselves to be more free without this. So I would like to say something in the context of what we have been talking and what you mentioned before, the concept of this exhibition and the goal of this exhibition is the moment that it wants to apostrophize some things which are very relevant of the fact that we have a poster exhibition here, but in the same time, the dualism here is with the VR technology. So I wanted to create some kind of experiment which will give a strong base for future researches and maybe enhancing people or testing or seeing through their reaction, especially to the young population, how they will react to that. So I took 4 of my posters together with a friend of mine who is skilled for that technology of VR, because what we are talking here is the Oculus Rift VR technology. Also worked platform is Unity, so it's a strictly gaming Unity. So what we did what was discussed with Ana as well was that we take these 4 posters and we try to make them alive in a virtual reality. So these posters would be engaged, or these posters would become active through the interaction between the viewer in the gallery, but also in the virtual gallery that is specially created on this specially designed and created platform. So we have this comparative approach that the viewer can see the posters here, but if he really wants to feel them or sense them, then it's an opportunity for him to connect much more easier or faster while being engaged in the virtual reality, putting the glasses. So practically what we see here in the back is a viewer that is controlling the process by himself. So he's wearing the glasses, he walks in the environment, and all around are some geometrical forms that he can control, he can adapt, he can communicate with them. And here we see practically one of the posters from my exhibition that says what is next. So I must admit that there is a huge interest for this. I have made some researches in the past few days, I tried to provide the list of viewers and the group of viewers, the age and their interest for visiting this exhibition. And I must say that more elderly people, they're very interested, but they would not encourage themselves to pay too much attention to this. So they would try, but they would not play with it. But young generation, and this is today actually there will be students from high school, from art high school will be coming just to see this. But from what I mostly notice that 15 to 24, 25, this is practically their reality. It's a little bit shocking. But for them, this is natural. It's normal. So we should ask ourselves definitely, because this project and exhibition also sets this question. So could technology become helpful in her aggressiveness into conquering the spaces, even public spaces and cultural spaces? Is the technology, what Anna mentioned, is going to be treated as a tool to serve our purposes? But no, I'm not just speaking from a position of artist, I'm speaking also from a position of a human being or a parent or a cultural worker. Or we are going to use the sensitivity of the new time to try and impose some kind of relationships between the audiences, the divisions that are going on in the audiences, the way how they would react on it or impose themselves regarding that, and forcing them maybe through the involvement of the technology to visit more museums or to try and to enhance them to go out, and that museums still can place not just for entertainment but for advancements. And I don't know, maybe technology can help us to get back to the normal time.
Definitely, as I mentioned, we are just supposed to find the proper amount of it, not to change the position or the role of the museums and galleries or in culture in general. But it's definitely a helpful tool that can help such institutions dealing with culture even to accept or, let's say, stress more audience, you know, because we want younger generations to be present even here. So if we do a classical exhibition of paintings without including some new technology moment, it might be, you know, boring for them. It might not get their interest. It might not, we cannot get their interactivity. But if we think of some I don't know, small part of interaction shown through new digital platform, then it will be definitely more appealing to them, you know. They will find their own way to communicate with the other works, to understand them, so it's really interesting, you know. Now it's in your case, it's very interesting because we have a two-dimensional placard which gets from two-dimension, it gets third dimension, and we enter into it and then we play. You lose, you know, the sense, the real senses on the ground. You are in some other space. But it can happen as well with classical paintings, you know. Yeah. I don't know, whatever, some painting from the beginning of the 20th century. So we to get into that kind of. So it's really good that we have new technologies. Just we are supposed to find the proper way to use them, and they can help us a lot, definitely. When I was in Baku, I visited several exhibitions. It has a very developed cultural sector, but as well a high technology effort as well. So we visited one exhibition of traditional clothes and traditional music. You will say a very boring, you know, exhibition in one way. I mean, okay, it's new culture, folklore. It's a new culture. It's interesting to see, you know. But generally, it's not very attractive for me as a curator working with contemporary art. But the way it was presented, it was really super, super, super interesting, and it gets your interest all the time, on high level. You are expecting the new experience that you are going to get while watching that exhibition. There is some sort of classical instrument, and you stay in one circle, and beneath in that circle, through sensor, you are hearing the sound of it, So that's the empowerment of the technology, that we can get usage of it. Or, I don't know, tablets included in any kind of exhibitions, which can help children playing with different kinds of games, platforms, which in childish way present, I don't know, the project and so on. So it's here, I think that we will need more time in sense of budgets and education and implementing of new technologies, this kind of helping tools for even achieving better results, in classical sense of accepting culture. But in the world, of course, it's very often used, and it's nicely, equalized between the usage of technology and the meaning of culture, and in that sense.
Yeah. So I think that when we, for example, poster is a medium that has perceived his time, and he managed, even through a lot of transformation, always dependable from the technology, to survive in its own form. So it is more than live, and it will be always live, because even the poster can be transformed through the technology and be placed everywhere, and doesn't need any special place. And if we treat from a point of perspective of conventional tool for addressing or communicating, then definitely maybe his final step towards the transformation will be the digital form, maybe. But still when I prepare it, it has to be digital, to prepare it to print, right? But also in the sense that it is redeveloped in giving, in a possibility to give the third dimension and maybe the fourth dimension of time again, in its own gap of values. Maybe this is something that can introduce or inspire maybe a future and different movements that can enhance the audience. I know when I was speaking with Lefteris, my first podcast actually was with him last year when we had when he shot that podcast. We discussed. I'm purely artistical, and I always enhance the artistical approach as the most important, and treating computer just as a tool. For me, it's very important for an artist to draw, to have painting, to understand the technologies or the development of art and the new media and everything that goes with the digital through the analog and basically to the handwork. We have forgot to use our hand actually for drawing, painting, or for writing. We are just typing on our mobile phone, and this is. And we share the same values, and I'm really glad that he is doing this, because it's very important that he always pushes it with all of his speakers in this way. So when I told him what is my idea regarding this, he warmly accepted it and said that it's very important. So we can continue with that discussion more. Maybe you have some final words, because I really love your text, and I'm going to share it with them, what you wrote there. So maybe you would like to say something to conclude at the end.
Okay, I want for the end to thank you first for giving me the opportunity to work with you as a curator on your project, Reflections, New Reality. And it was a really nice experience, because I think that your approach will give a new way of getting into galleries, getting into museums, developing projects, as we already mentioned some of the points before. So I don't think that it will influence just the local scenery regarding accepting culture and the gallery and museum working, but as well regional aspects of using digital media and new technologies in way of promotion and presentation of works, reaching different kinds of dimensions and using the advantages of the new technologies and digital media into getting access to different generations of audience. So, and as well, I want to congratulate the topic of the Congress that we are making this recording, this talk today, because it's really a very important topic that needs to be discussed and talked very often in future, not in future, but even today, but in future as well. Because as the technologies are developing, there are new questions that are being asked that need to be answered. But as well, we need to follow all the aspects, the position of the culture, the position of the galleries and museums, but as well, we are always supposed to question the audience development and to get more access to different generations, to nurture the acceptance or the needs of the older generation, but as well the new generations which are going to be our followers and those that are going
new
to...
audience.
New audience, definitely. So since this is their language, we shall think how to implement it and include it into our working processes.
Great, thank you very much. I would like to read something from the text that you wrote. Thank you very much for nice words, and thank you very much for sharing this challenge with me as well, because it is very important to have a professional curator and to always support the artist, because that is something that is in these times and with this kind of specifics important. You mentioned this fantastic maxim from Leonardo da Vinci: simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So that is something that highlights everything. And you mentioned that in context of my work. Thank you very much for that. But this is something that gives a full attention to your capabilities as a curator, because the openness of a curator in the same time opposing the challenges is something that is very important. So I would read just a short paragraph. The possibilities of the new technologies also increase the probabilities of primary media and disciplines. Art no longer knows borders, media, or disciplines. All the gates are now open, and there are no more obstacles for those who want to experiment and intervene knowledge according to their needs, ideas, or goals. So this completely goes into the text title that you gave to the catalog, Virtual Vault of Perpetuity, something that is really going into the concept of escapism, or the concept of the reflections of the new reality. And for me, it's a huge, really privilege to have you beside me. For conclusion, I would like just to add something that forced me to create parallel to this project, actually to enter a new dimension of the new project, and always use it wisely and properly. Is that understanding art in the face of the pandemics takes on different perspective, and responsibility dictates a new course in the role of designers and artists. The reflection cycle itself has imposed several stages of development and ended with the last stage of post-isolation. So the post-isolation was the last stage that I believe that it would end after another quarantine of 30 days, but till today, it's almost a year and a half. So the reflection cycle has turned and the isolation has turned and fostered a sharper form of art and transformed itself into reflections inspired and influenced by the geometric shapes of the line raster. So that's precisely what has completed the visual game. I have studied at the Academy of Fine Arts in Warsaw, and our professors in the time when I was studying by the end of the 90s of the past millennium, actually, they were always forcing us to grab the childhood in ourselves and treat everything that we do, design or art, as a game. And this is this would be the prophylaxis of not just the way how you treat things, but the way how you respond to the changes. And this was my nurture. The art was complete nurture. I really hope that this project would have more serious development in future, continuing with this, and especially since I have discovered something new that helps me to better enhance or promote the values that were important before the new reality or the new time. So hence that we would always stay dedicated art workers and always try and find a way, because it's our responsibility at the end. We have to do that.
Of course. To experiment and accept the new challenges.
Yeah, and to transform them into our visual language. So thank you very much, Lefteris, for the invitation. I would like to say a few words, my marks of congratulations to your efforts and hard working, especially with the dedication that you give into this design forum and with your podcast, since you haven't stopped doing them. No matter what, I would like to thank you one more and to send my best regards to you as the organizer, and also to the audience and the other speakers that are going to be part of this forum. Thank you very much.